Hi there and welcome to the third episode in our Circle2 tutorial series. Today we're going to be creating a classic synth lead. So first of all we will initialize the patch by clicking new, and then we're going to select our oscillators. Now in the sound today, in slot 1 and 2, we're going to insert analog oscillators and set them to be sawtooth waveforms. And then in slot 3 today we're going to be using a wavetable oscillator. And we're going to select our wavetable by clicking this button here, and today we'll be using Harare. And you'll notice that we have this slider here for blending between two waveforms, but today we're just going to stick completely with this top one. Okay, so we'll go over to the mixer next, and we're going to pull this oscillator 1 level down to about halfway. Leave the same for oscillator 2, and then push oscillator 3 up. So what we're doing is really using these sawtooth waves as a backup for this more harmonically interesting wavetable oscillator. We'll then go over to the envelope section here, and for this sound we want a completely open amplitude envelope apart from just a small bit of release at the end to remove any clicks. And as usual we're going to use this envelope here to control the cutoff of the filter. And just going to have a short attack, and then we're going to leave some decay on this just so that the first part of this sound has an interesting element to it. Then I'm going to pull down the frequency of the filter and just push the resonance up a bit. Okay, so what we're going to do, as in previous tutorials, is just detune these oscillators slightly, just to give this a bit of interesting movement to it. And that sounds much nicer with that detuning already. So we then want to add some more interesting elements to this sound. So what we're going to do firstly is assign some modulation to this filter cutoff, and we're going to use an LFO in this slot here. And we really want these effects to be quite subtle, but just to make their overall sound a bit more interesting. And what we're going to do then is just assign this envelope to control the rate of this LFO as well, just so it adds a bit more of an interesting element to it. And then we're going to assign some frequency modulation onto these oscillators here. So we'll turn on this LFO, and then we're just going to assign that to the fine tuning of these first two oscillators. Again, we want this to be really, really subtle, almost so it's not noticeable. Okay, and then we're just going to add some more frequency modulation independently to this final oscillator. So we'll turn on the final modulator slot and insert an LFO into there. And then we'll just do the same again, assign this to the fine tune. This time we're going to go for a bit of a lower rate. And again, we want this to be very, very subtle. So you can definitely hear that that's too much. Maybe we can even reduce the amount on here as well. So that sounded quite interesting now. I think we'll put some effects onto it next. So we'll open up the effects panel here, and in slot 1 we're going to insert a chorus. And if we look in the presets, we can just try light chorus here. Nice, so that definitely adds some more width to it. And we can get a bit more width and interest using this ping pong echo here, and we'll try medium. Maybe just turn that down slightly there. Nice. And now we'll just chuck in a reverb in the last slot. So again, we'll go in here and we'll try a huge hall. So that's good. I think we can reduce this size down a bit just so things don't get too messy. Cool, so that's sounding really good now. Finally, we're just going to change the way that this sound is played on the keyboard. We're going to go into the settings panel here, and under voicing, we'll just turn the polyphony down to 1 so it's monophonic, and then we're going to turn legato on as well. And if you remember from the last tutorial, what that's going to do is when notes overlap is just blend between them smoothly. And we're just going to introduce some glide into the sound so that the pitch moves smoothly between notes. So that's sounding really cool now, and I think that would sound really nice in a track as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial today and have learnt something from it, and we'll catch up with you next time.